Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you all for the final day of our virtual faculty development program on contemporary trends in literary criticism. To begin on a positive and reflective note, I invite Mrs. Josephine Sylvia to lead us in prayer.
Let us bow our head, put ourselves in the holiness of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Almighty and ever loving God, we glorify and thank your name. You have showered us with so much blessing, and your presence continuously reminds us of your faithfulness and guidance. May we humbly ask you to shower your blessing on our speaker today of your greatest inspiration so that he may shine the most of his knowledge, his field of expertise, and to his respected topics. May we observe the invaluable knowledge experience and put it into practice what we may learn today. Thus, all the participants may they grow in the grace and wisdom, provide them knowledge, understanding, and counsel. Where infinite blessing would mean the success of this 5 day international faculty development program, may we be a living witness of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. We ask this in the name of the Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Mrs. V. Ashwita, Head Department of English, to give the formal welcome address.
Good afternoon to all present here. As we begin this event, let us first seek the Lord's blessing for His grace and guidance throughout the day. I would like to acknowledge our esteemed founder, Reverend Dr. J. Arulraj, whose leadership continues to inspire us, though he is with us today in absentia. A heartfelt welcome to Reverend Sister Dr. M. Baby, our esteemed administrator, for her invaluable support and guidance. I also welcome our principal, Dr. Aura Ruben, whose unwavering commitment has been instrumental in the growth of our institution. I also extend my sincere gathering to all the heads of the department whose dedication strengthens the academic framework for these institutions. We are to have with us a chief guest, Dr. V. Ganesan, Associate Professor, Department of English, A.M. Jain College, Chennai, whose presence enriches this gathering. A warm welcome to all the students, staffs, research scholars, and academicians from various institutions, as well as a technical support team whose efforts behind the scenes make this event possible. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for that warm welcome. Next, I would like to invite Mrs. Rajeshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to introduce our esteemed resource person of today.
It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome our resource person, Dr. V. Ganeshan, for today's session. He has been working as an associate professor A.M. Jain College, Meenambakam. He has 3 years of teaching experience for postgraduate and 21 years for undergraduate. He had a 5 years of experience in translations and editing. He has been a question paper setter and examiner in various universities and colleges for 15 years. He has been a PhD supervisor. It was approved by University of Madras and Bharatiyar University. Under his research guidance, 8 PhD has been awarded, 6 in under guidance, 1 submitted. He also conducted a PhD viva voce for 20 scholars at various universities. He has been a member of selection committee at University of Madras since 10th of December 2018. He also been a member of the Commission for the approval of the Foundation English courses at Tirumurugan College of Arts and Science. He has been a member of PhD Advisor Committee for more than 20 scholars at various universities. He had a 28 years experience in teaching Japanese, nearly 1,000 students to get JLPT certification given in house training at HCL, Vibro, Sisweda, Swarm, IBN, etc. He had 32 years of experience in research. He also translates works from Japanese folk tales, haiku poems. He also published more than a papers in journals and volumes with ISSN and ISBN numbers. He also awarded Lifetime Achievement Award by World First Muthamil Conference, Chennai. He also attended number of courses, workshops and seminars in English and also in Japanese. Once again, it's been a great honor to welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful introduction. Now, let's give our full attention to Dr. V. Ganeshan, who will lead us through today's session. Over to sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your nice introduction. Really, I am honored to speak in this last session of the FDP program. So, in all the 5 days, many speakers have talked about the current trends in literary criticism, and some people have talked about feminism, and some people have talked about new historism, and other recent trends in criticism. Okay. And they have given me the topic of contemporary trends in literary criticism. First, I want to start from the basic. Okay. Basic. What is criticism and what the principles of criticism? We have to understand the principles of criticism very much thoroughly. Okay. There are three terms: literary theory, literary history, and literary criticism. We must know uh, the different aspects of these three. Okay, what is literary theory? Okay, we are talking about theory because when students they want to do research, they will ask immediately which theory we should I follow, and they ask first I will ask them to go and study the primary sources. You will find out the theory on your own. Some people say that I want to do in feminist theory without finalizing the primary text. How can you say that I want to do feminist theory? Okay, so the first you must understand what is literary theory. Okay, literary theory and literary theory or criticism, we cannot separate all these three: literary theory or literary history and literary criticism. All three are interrelated. They implicate they implicate one another so thoroughly so as to make inconceivable literary theory without criticism, or history or criticism without literary theory. Okay, it is obvious that literary theory is impossible except on the basis of the study of concrete literary works. A work of art cannot be analyzed or elaborated without a constant resources or critical principles. A critic with historical perspective may go wrong in the judgment. He cannot distinguish an original work from its derivative. The diverse between literary criticism and literary history would be detrimental to both. So we have to understand where we have to follow literary history and where we have to follow literary criticism and where we have to follow the literary theories. Okay. So first of all, we must know that what is criticism. Criticism in the modern trends, we say that it is an answer to a question or questioning. It will question an answer. That is the criticism. A conclusion will be made, and some other critic will raise a question about the conclusion, and somewhere what they will give the answer to some other question. This is what have been right from the Plato. We can see that they will be raising the question. Aristotle is answering the Plato's question. That's how the literary theory, literary criticism evolved. Okay, was evolved, and and you see that trend also. We also find the trend in English criticism also. Okay. We always go to Aristotle to find out the meaning of a tragedy or the definition of the tragedy, everything. For all the purpose, we go to criticism. And we must know the pioneers of the classical criticism, critics like criticism like Aristotle and Longinus, Horace, and all those people. We must know that because Horace has talked about satire, and Longinus talked about the sublimity of the literature. Everything is there. They have contributed something to the study of literature through their critical values. Okay. And in this sense, you see, in this sense, it is necessary for us to know about the classical and the studies about the classical criticism. Okay. And literary criticism, I told that is a main point. What we have to do is we have to ask three questions basically: what, why, and how. When we ask these questions, we will get an answer for. When we get answer for these questions, really what we are doing is we are doing entering into the process of criticism, and we are analyzing the text. Okay, without knowing what and without knowing how or without knowing why, how can you evaluate a text? This is a basic principle, and that is a basic principle of the research also. Research and the word has come from Greek, that is sarka, and what the word research is, you have to go and reread the text or go and research and find out your hypothesis and elaborate on the hypothesis. That is the basis of criticism. Okay, and when you study a piece of work or piece of literature, that will affect you. That when it affects you, you must know that how the text affects you, and slowly you go for supporting document. And supporting, when you reach the supporting document, naturally your research evolves into, so will get a support of the theory. And when you put the theory into in your study, that will be the right theory to study your chosen textbooks. Okay. And I'm not going into the summary of all classical literature, but you must know what Aristotle has contributed, and what Plato has contributed, what Horace has contributed, what Quintilian has contributed, and what Longinus contributed. And that is our the classical writers. They have contributed to the art of criticizing a text, and they sown the seed of criticism through their critical approaches. Okay. And next is we must find out what are the various approaches of the criticism. And Wilbur Scott has divided into five approaches: moralistic approach, sociological approach, and psychological approach, formalistic approach, and archetypal approach. Okay. And if you want to go to the approaches, we must know what is the function of literature. Literature has a twin function, okay, delight and teach. Somebody find the enjoyment in reading the literature. Some others they find the teaching in the literature. So what a literature does is it is very fully teaching. That is why literature is much more superior to literary, other history and philosophy, other things. Okay? A character in the literature is much different from a character in the history or an explication of the philosophical perspective. That we know, and that is why literature is very much interesting, and it affects us. And that affect the when it affects us, with that definitely we tend to make a criticism of that. And the English criticism is started from Sir Philip Sidney when he answers to the question of four questions of the Stephen Gauzen. Uh, Stephen Gauzen, and he's how he talks about the literature is much more superior to other literature. Okay, and that you must know the defense of poetry, how he is elegantly argues the merits of literature, and how he places literature above all the branches of study. Next comes John Dryden. John Dryden, I want to tell only one statement. John Dryden, in his preface to Fables, he brings one beautiful method of analyzing through dialogues. He invents four characters, and through four characters, he analyzes the merits of ancient literature and the modern literature, and how he makes a comparison. So in a way, Dryden sown the seed of the first comparative literature through his statement. What is the statement is, I love Shakespeare, but I appreciate Ben. I admire Ben Jonson. That is the statement. I love Shakespeare, but I admire Ben Jonson. The love and admire, you take the word that shows really, really gives the two aspects of literature, two aspects of criticism. When you love, that affects you, but when you admire, you have to merit the literature through its principles of writing or the quotes, how it has followed the various codes of writing. So we all know that Ben Jonson is a classical writer, and Shakespeare is not a classical writer. So that itself shows the first deviation, how Dryden has made through the statement, the difference in the part of writing literature, classical and romantic. Okay, so classical has also been appreciated by many people, and Ben Jonson was the chief exponent of following the classical rules. But we all also know that Shakespeare has violated all the classical rules, but he has brought the human life into his drama. That is what Dr. Johnson says. Dr. Johnson says Shakespeare has presented all the human nature in his novels. But at the same time, Johnson also criticizes Shakespeare, that Shakespeare has not given his has not utilized this opportunity to teach the people, because we know that Dr. Johnson is a moral specialist man. He always loves moral. Okay, in that sense, he attacked Milton also. Milton also for writing Paradise Lost, in which Satan becomes the hero of the parallel book, not the God. Okay, so that is that this aspect gives you, we have the two kinds of another study, that is subjective criticism and objective criticism. When it affects you, when you analyze the text from from your heart, that becomes subjective. When you keep yourselves away from the text and you study only the merits of the literature through various components like formalistic structural components, then the study becomes objective study. So here John Dryden makes both objective and subjective aspects of criticism. When he says, I love Shakespeare, it is subjective. And when he says, I admire Ben Jonson, it is objective. Okay. So we must, this aspect of criticism teaches us how we have to analyze the textbook. We can analyze the textbook through the subjective way or objective way, and that raises a very good debate whether what is to be followed, whether the subjective criticism or objective criticism. Okay. So Dr. Johnson always follows his subjective criticism, because for him the moral aspect of the literature is very, very important moral aspect. Okay, so he always looks into the textbook the moral aspect. So he is very, very subjective. But later it slowly in the 20th century, when he entered into the 20th century, we find how we deviate from the criticism deviates from subjective to the objective way of analyzing the text. Okay, and after Dr. Johnson, we see Wordsworth and all the romantic critics. Wordsworth, they are purely subjective. Okay, what now? How they got affected by the nature. They wrote the poems and studied the poems. But there is a difference between Wordsworth and Coleridge. For Wordsworth, the outside world, yes, should influence the inside world. That is the soul. But he finds that how the outside world has make his soul suspended. But Coleridge, it's not like that. He needs some internal spirit, this genial spirit, to appreciate the world of nature. So there itself they deviated. So when they analyze the nature, we find that how Wordsworth has started loving the nature's object, how he becomes a high priest of knowledge and a philosopher and guide of nature. But Coleridge is not like that. Coleridge wanted to pour his genial spirit or pour his suffering and into the nature. And later Keats also says, Keats also comes into the same line. Okay, so we find that, okay, how the study of romantic poetry, it gives us two aspects. That is, whether the inner world should affect the outer world, or the outer world affect the inner world. In that way, if we analyze the poem, we can find that, okay. Uh, that is Wordsworth, and Wordsworth has brought the language of the common man. That is a another aspect of revolution. He to the for the poetry. He wrote that poetry must be very simple, and poetry must be very simple. That is why he wanted to choose the language of the common man to write the poetry. So we all know that when we study Wordsworth poem, we need not have any dictionary to refer the meaning of the word, any word. So, and there is lot of emotional, subjective emotion has poured into the poems, and of course, we got lot of delight in reading the poem in the poems of Wordsworth and that. And Wordsworth has formulated his own theory in writing the poem. He justified that I write the poem because my thought is like that, my poetic creation is like that. But Coleridge, he says poets are unlegislated masters of the world. He says that, okay, Coleridge is little deviated from the Wordsworth in formulating his own process of writing poetry. For Keats has brought out a wonderful textbook, Why the Novel Matters, and he talks about the me alive, everything. Okay, my me alive ends with the tip of my finger. After that, it's somebody else. Okay. This aspect you come later. Later, Roland Barthes says that the author is dead. The text gets evaporated into the minds of reader. You can find that there is a lot of connection between this in a structural when we come to the structuralist or post-structuralist criticism. Okay. Then after the Romantic period, another major critic came in the field of criticism is Matthew Arnold. He is the father of comparative criticism. He brought out the touchstone method, how to compare two poems and through a touchstone method. Okay, and that helped people to study two different texts and evaluate the merits and demerits of the text, and finally we come to the conclusion which text is superior to another. Okay, so after Matthew and all, we find that T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot becomes the most important person in the field of criticism. His sentence, honest criticism and sensitive appreciation must be directed not upon to the poet, not upon the poet, but upon the poetry. This statement is very, very important. It deviates from the biographical criticism to the textual criticism. Okay. From this statement, we can say that the on the objective and the objective of formalistic criticism was born. Yeah, and he also contributed many things to in the field of criticism, but objective correlative and dissociation of the sensibility when he analyzed Hamlet and metaphysical poetry. Okay, and Eliot has contributed to the criticism by a systematic analysis, and his talent, individual and traditional and individual talent, if I tries to find it, the merits of the textbook in a continuum of historical context. Okay, so in that way, Eliot has played an important role in the field of criticism. But what I want to say that his famous statement, honest criticism and sensitive appreciation must be directed not upon the poet but upon the poetry, has made the basis for all the present objective study of criticism or the formalistic study of the criticism. Okay, his disciple, his student, that I.A. Richards, what he did, he went further. He gave some pieces of the poems to the students without writing the names of the author. He asked the students to evaluate the poem, and he said that the poem can be evaluated objectively without knowing the background of the author. So now there's totally some deviation from deviated about biographical criticism. We do not know who is the writer. Okay, we have only the text. We can study the text and we can find we can try to find the meaning of the textbooks through the structure of the images or similes or other diction, everything. Okay, and he's brought out he has brought out wonderful essay that is four kinds of meaning, and the four kinds of meaning he says that the sense, feeling, tone, and intention. Okay, that is his four kinds of meaning, and people followed him. William Emerson or Cleant Brooks, everybody took one aspect of the study, and they try to evaluate the poem through that aspect. You see, Cleant Brooks has taken the paradox, and who can forget his analysis of Grecian urn? Grecian urn, how he says art for art's sake, and how art is superior than reality. Okay? Yeah, here melodies are sweet or unheard, or sweeter or those unheard. When the statement has many meaning, how he differentiates the reality and imaginative literature differently. Okay, and slowly we come to understand that what is literature. Literature is representation of reality. And what is reality? Reality is the imitation of literature. That idea we get in the modern criticism, and through the aspects of studying the subjective or objective analysis of a text. Okay, and that is that with that we come to we are entering into the 20th century criticism. So Cleant Brooks, other William Emerson, Alan Tate, all these writers, they popularized the objective way of criticism. Alan Tate took tension and with the two meaning, inductive and deductive meaning, and coined his own theory how to evaluate a poem by deducting or meaning or inducting through direction of the meaning or induction of the meaning. Okay, like that, each writer tried to give their own theories, but the theories slowly develop into later when anthropological study or archetypal study came into that. Okay, structuralism and post-structuralism. Structuralism, we come to know, it's a purely formalistic way of study of a text, and structuralism is not just about the language or literature. Claude Lévi-Strauss applied the structuralist outlook to the interpretation of myth. So he has brought myth. Okay, and Northrop Frye brought in the archetypes. So these people studied how the study of anthropology, the anthropological study, how it helps to evaluate a work of art. Okay, and then in between we have the sociological approach and the psychological approach. The psychological approach was popularized by Freud's analysis of certain textbook, particularly Hamlet, which he popularized that Oedipus complex and the Electro complex. Okay, and that is a beautiful analysis. We find what is the purpose of the character in reacting to this, why the character is behaving like that, and we go into the psyche of the mind character, and we are able to study in a different way. Sociological study is author is not was not born in a vacuum. He is a member of the society, and he observes many things, and he studies and he presents how he has been affected in the society. And if I want to give you one best example for sociological thing is that is Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist. So Oliver Twist, when he wrote the novel, when he wrote the novel, he just presented what are the atrocities that happen in orphanages. But after reading that atrocities, the government of the Britain government almost closed all the orphanages. That is the reaction of the sociological aspect of the literature. Okay. So the society affects literature, and literature affects the society. They are their relationships are reciprocal. So in way, many people studied literature from the sociological approach, and that is another thing. So moralistic approach, sociological approach, psychological approach, formalistic approach, and archetypal approach. In all the five approaches, we can take any one of the approaches and we can do some evaluation of the work of art. Okay. And structuralism, as I told that it is not only particular of language and literature, it's something, it will go beyond that, okay? And it is a way of identifying a signifying system. In a sense that is a very concept. It means that any organized and structured set of signs which carry a cultural meaning. The diverse phenomenon of the works like literature, tribal ritual, fashions, food, lifestyle, the contents of advertisement can be included in this kind of study. Fashions can be read like languages, like language. Separate items or features are added up into the complete outfit and look with the complex grammatical rules of combinations. We don't wear any evening dress or carpet slippers. We don't come to lectures in a military uniform. So when we start analyzing this cultural aspect, what we enter into that culture, structural studies. Okay, what the structural critics try to do that. Okay, that is a main point. Okay, they analyze the text. They analyze the text of a relation to some large extent containing the structure such as the convention of the particular literary genre or a network of intertextual connections or a projected model of the underlying universal narrative structure or a notion of the narrative as a complex of recurrent patterns or motifs. They interpret literature in terms of a range of underlying parallels with the structure of the language as described by modern linguistics. They apply the concrete system of patterning and structuring to the whole field of the Western culture and across the cultures, creating a system of signs, anything from ancient Greek myths to brand of a soap powder. Okay, so in this way they will analyze the text from its structure. Okay, and from structuralism we got post-structuralism. Post-structuralism, that derived from ultimately from philosophy. Okay, post-structuralists, how they deviate from structuralist, they normally follow into a pattern called deconstruction that was popularized by Derrida. Okay, and that is on the post-structuralists do. What they do is they read the text against itself so as to express what might be thought of as the textual subconscious, where the meaning are expected, which may be directly contrary to the surface meaning. So they read the text for a different meaning. Okay, they will not carry what the text actually says. Okay, they fix upon the surface feature of the words, similarities and sounds and the roots of the meanings of the words, a dead metaphor, and they bring these into the foreground so that they become crucial to the overall meaning. Okay, so when structural critics seeks the parallel or echoes, the post-structural seeks contradictions and paradoxes. When the structuralist finds reflections and repetitions, the post-structuralist find the conflicts. When the structuralist finds symmetry, the post-structuralist find absences and omissions. When the structuralists find contrast, the post-structuralists find linguistic quirks. When the structuralists find patterns, the post-structuralists find effect to show the textual disunity. It is post-structuralism. Okay. And then comes a new historism, which was popularized by Greenbaum, Bloch, and others. So they study a literary text and other parallel, non-literary text parallelly, and how particular energy or particular thought has been circulated in a particular period of time. Okay. For example, why Shakespeare has talked about a ghost in his novel. They study, they take the Shakespeare's textbook, no drama, and they also take some non-literary textbook which was published at the time. They study parallelly, and they found that is in this particular period the thought and the talk of the course was very much circulated, has been very much circulated. That is why Shakespeare has utilized that thought in his drama. Similarly, even today is our parents, they get married and they take a video shoot. What happens after some time when the children, they see the video, they or after 20 years when they see the video, what they find is in a particular time this particular fashion of the dress was was very popular. Okay, that we come to know that when that is the video becomes a document, and if you study any novel of that period in which your parents got married, and if you make a comparative study, you can find that, oh, in this particular period, this kind of dress or this kind of fashion was very much popular, and people dressed like this, they did all these rituals like this. So we can find that. Okay, we can make a so what is neo criticism? Neo historicism says that it is a, if I want to put it in short, it is it is a way of studying the presentness of the past. This is a way of studying presentness of the past, particular past. Okay, how on the particular period the present was conditioned by a certain thought like that. So the presentness of the past is neo historicism. It's just opposite to neo historicism is postmodernism. What postmodernism tries to study is the postmodernism studies the pastness of the present, pastness of the present. Okay, so when you study a text, we immediately how the past has been magically presented, and how the past you find that the occupation of the past in the present thing. Okay, that is that we find in postmodern study. Postmodern study, it also gives a hyper reality. Hyper reality, that is another point. Okay, hyper reality is, what is hyper reality is when you see an advertisement of a 1 BHK bedroom advertisement or 2 BHK, and you see that the advertisement, a couple will be sitting on the floor and they will be living in a wonderfully furnished house, but that gives you an hyper reality that you will be transported in that occasion as though you are living in that. Okay, that is one way of one way of postmodernist technique to create hyper reality in the textbook. Okay, that is one point. Another point is, if you want to eat salad you can eat salad in salad. For example, it is a cucumber salad separately, onion salad separately, or vegetable salad separately. When we mix everything into it, that is postmodernism. And Canada is a postmodern society. We find that it is a cultural mosaic. That is why a critic says that Canada is a postmodern society, and the thought and criticism of the mostly popularizes in Canada. And from Canada, it went all over the world, and even see that even today is in Canada, we find a lot of people who are living, and they share their culture, and there is a cultural conflict. Everything, this aspect comes in the study of postmodernism, and postmodernism is a cultural mosaic. Okay, that is, we find that if a text for example, M.G. Vasandi's novel, or V.S. Naipaul's novel, or other modern post-colonial writers, they all bring that hybrid culture, and when their narration gives a technique, post-modern narrative technique. For example, Naipaul's Enigma or Arrival, the novel is a wonderful novel. It talks about an English garden where life is going on. Finally, Naipaul closes the book, closes the book by saying that I find the English garden is there. I find a lot of decay and regeneration, everything. I want to write about that novel. So, write a book about this Jack's garden. He says that. So, after while completing that, when completing with the statement Naipaul, he asks us to read the book again once again. So, in the postmodern metafiction or another other things gives a cyclic structure. This is one aspect of postmodern technique narratives. Okay, postmodern technical narrative. So these most postmodern mainly talks about the narrative techniques. Okay, so these are the some aspects of modern postmodernism. We should not think that postmodernism is a counterattack to modernism. That is different. Okay, modernism is a thought. It's a thought. Okay, modernism was was very popular even olden days. But postmodernism is just is not like that. It is not against modernism. It is a different, okay. It is a different thing. As I said, it gives an hyper reality, and that is postmodernism. Then we come to, after some time we find in after 1950s, when the colonial rule ended, the post-colonial societies have come into being. Post-colonial post-colonial writers, what they did is they actually travel into the past and they edited their past. Why? Because they thought that all the colonial people almost erase their histories. They always want to reproduce the histories. If you take any writers, what's the impact of the colonial rule? The colonial rule, of course, they went all over the world. They set up the colonies and started ruling the native people. So they colonized the people. So the word two term is very important: colonized and the colonizer. So nearly for 100 or 200 years, they brought the some part, three-fourths of the world under their rule. Africa, India, Canada, Australia, all those countries were under the British rule. But they not only plundered the country's resources, but also they conquered the minds of the people. In India, you see that when they planned to start a Sanskrit school, Raja Ram Mohan Rai told that it is better to start an English school. So that was the first step that Raja Ram Mohan Rai took to brought English language into the learning process of Indians. When English language came into that, British found very easily to get into the administration, and the British people, they brought English language, they brought religion, Christian religion, and they brought the game cricket also. These three are ruling now. Okay, three are ruling now, and we are slowly. What happened? We are slowly becoming slave to that. And if we take up English language, what is the modern trend of the English language? There are two aspects of approach we find in it towards English language. One is they love and hate. Either they love the language or they hate the language. Sujata Bhatt said, "Why should I learn English language?" One, which because it was suppressed by suppressed our people. Why my children should speak English language? Okay. Kamala Das says, "I can write in three languages. In my mother tongue, I can write in three languages, speak in three languages, but I dream in one language." Okay. So Kamala Das says, so the people started questioning about the function of English language. Chinu Achebe says that, okay, English language should be paid what it has done to the people. So Edward Said says that the colonizer has started writing back to the colonizer. The empire writes back. So V.S. Naipaul is one of the best exponent of English writing. Okay, he has become the connoisseur of English writer, one of the connoisseur of English writer. M.G. Vasanji and again Salman Rushdie. All these are from post-colonial people. They started writing in English, and you see that Salman Rushdie says that English language should abolish English language. Okay, he says that in his essay Commonwealth Literature, he found that English literature placed superior to other literature. So he found a lot of the political reasons behind that. He said that English language has gone into pieces. Now there is no Queen's English. We find Australian English or Canadian English or Indian English. Now what we are doing, how we are using our English language, we are using English language to our own convenience. Okay, we must we are using or we are wielding the English language to our own, to present our own thoughts at that. So that is one important thing. That is a post-colonial aspect. Post-colonial aspect is we are not following the English as the English language. We are converting English language to present our own thought. M.G. Vasanji brings a lot of African terms in his novel, and finally gives a glossary at the end of the novel and forces the reader to study the African words. And English language it's easy for it. It accepts all the words and gets into its dictionary. Even today, If you go and find out IO, the word IO is there, and IO, the etymological or the origin of the word is given, and the meaning is expression of the surprise. Okay, that is the meaning of the meaning of the word IO is given in the Oxford Dictionary. So that is thing. So English language is growing. It accepts the words from all other languages. But the thing is, why we have to you have to use English language. So English language is like a vision. We have to study the English language. We have to master the English language. But at the same time, people say that we should give respect to our mother tongue language or the regional language. Okay, this thought we find that once I find once I found one live example in a great meeting. A vice chancellor was supposed to speak in English, but he refused to speak in English, and he spoke in mother tongue Hindi. But in another place, a man who was not well versed in English, he tried to speak in English. What is the meaning? Why we want to follow English language when it is not needed in a place? Okay, so these are the thoughts we find in post-colonial scenario. If we take a textbook, we can find that. So another important of the post-colonial studies is, so during colonial period, many Indians have been uprooted from the native land. They are placed in West Indies and Africa. But still, the one aspect is their identity crisis. The search for the home is there. So you can find that all the post-colonial writers, they write back to the past because they inside their writing you find that there is a search for the home or search for the identity. So when they are uprooted from the native place nearly for 2 generations, they come back. They found out they want to make a continuity from where they left. So they want to they want to make the discontinuity into a form of a continuity. That is the process of the writing. Whether it is Nepal or some other other writers, or even Chinua Achebe, you can find that they go into the past and they try to bring a continuous process of the history into the present. Okay, because they mainly believe that the colonizers have destroyed their past, they destroyed their history. So they want to create the history, and that is why we find there is an overlapping of the personal history and the culture, historical facts in their novel. For example, in a writer says that my wife delivered a second baby when the World War began. World War began. So the World War began is a real historical fact. But he wanted to connect that with her wife delivered the second baby. So you can find a lot of personal history gets overlapping with the public history. This is one important aspect of studying post-colonial literature. Okay, the post-colonial literature, you can find that it gives a lot of thrust areas to study in the modern literature that have been created in the independent or in the post-independent colonized countries. Okay, and slowly now in the present scenario is after post-colonialism, we can find the globalization has come, and after the globalization, we see that eco-criticism has come. Eco-criticism is a study of literature in relation to environment. All the texts people started rereading the text. All started rereading the text from the aspects of environmental issues. So, and Silent Valley or Wordsworth's poems or even feminism, feminist texts have been started reading from the eco-criticism. And women are equated to nature, and the flowering tree by A.K. Ramanujan. All this we can give as examples of eco-critical studies. That even that eco-criticism main point of eco-criticism is there should not be dominance in any form. We should not dominate nature. If we dominate nature, nature will dominate us. There should not be any dominance between husband and wife. Husband and wife are equal. Okay. If you find any dominance, that is not natural. That is not natural. So this aspect, there is no dominance. Okay, the question of dominance should not be there. That is a major aspect of eco-criticism. Some people they brought how nature is culture is opposed to nature. So in the culture is supposed we can, if you study deeply into that, we find another way of criticism, that is gender criticism. Gender criticism is not as you think of feminist criticism. Gender criticism is something different according to me. If you analyze the word gender, there are two words are there: masculine and feminine. Masculine is, you know that masculine is not man, feminine is not female. Okay, so what is a masculine is a trait, feminine is a trait. A man have masculine qualities as well as feminine qualities. A woman will have masculine qualities and feminine qualities. Simon de Beauvoir says, a woman is not born, rather becomes. What is the meaning of the statement? What is the meaning of the statement? You can understand that a woman is not born a woman, but rather becomes. So she is made to grow like a woman. Even today, if we go to a house to present toys to a man, a male girl, a male boy, or a boy or a girl, immediately we choose the toys differently. For a boy, we give the remote control car. For a girl, we used to give Barbie doll. Who has programmed us to give such a thing? That is why Simon de Beauvoir says that we have been programmed like that. Women are programmed. We have been programmed like that. Okay, and we should come out of that. So, a masculine traits, a man has masculine and feminine traits, and women may have feminine and masculine traits. Lady Macbeth is the best example. Lady Macbeth has a lot of feminine traits. In which scene? When Lady Macbeth forces Macbeth to kill Duncan, and Macbeth is fearful, and he says, if we fail, he asks that. Lady Macbeth says, why? What the question you are asking? We fail? She shouts at him, and she says that, go and kill. And Macbeth goes and kills Duncan and comes back, and with the blood hand, she also goes there and smears the blood on the blood on the face of the gods, and she comes back and says, little water can clear the days. Who has the go? So one critic says, I want a wife like Macbeth, because Lady Macbeth has the power to influence her husband. So Lady Macbeth has a masculine traits to move Macbeth, to push Macbeth to do the murder. Okay, but that is a different thing. But because this aspect of analysis brings that there will be there will be two traits, that masculine and feminine trait. Even the colonizer and the colonized, we can study from the gender perspective. Colonizer was masculine, colonized was feminine. What happened to now? The colonizer has become masculine and the colonizer becomes feminine. So this is culture. Culture is gender is not static. It's not static. It is in fluid. A masculine will change into feminine. A feminine traits will be changing into masculine. In our house, sometimes husbands play the masculine role. Sometimes wives play a feminine role. Other times we know that wives are very, very masculine and husbands become feminine. Okay, so in a organization, manager, sometimes he will be masculine and staff will be very feminine. Sometimes master will be masculine and slaves will be feminine. The Admiral Crichton, the drama, Admiral Crichton, you see that Crichton, who was feminine in the house, when he comes into the nature, he becomes a masculine and he teaches everything to all his masters. So this is another gender criticism. This is what I want to tell, that it is not different. It is not like feminism. Feminism, of course, is a new trend. All the women, they love to do that. Of course, they have been subjugated for a long period. They want freedom. What is freedom for them? That is the basic. What is the freedom for them? Okay, the freedom is not their right to speak or right to say anything, right to do what they want. The freedom is the growth. They want to grow. That is why they ask freedom. Okay, so men says that I will give freedom. Who are you to give the freedom? Okay, freedom is there. Okay, you need not give the freedom. That is their main aspect. Ellen Showalter or some other all the writers, they talk about women right from the subjugation, or Mary Wollstonecraft, from Mary Wollstonecraft, they are writing the traces the history of feminism. Okay, the waves of feminism, everything. But it's all like that. So there is lot of difference between feminist studies and the gender studies. Okay, feminist studies centers around women issues, but gender studies is not like that. Okay, gender studies is not like that. That is my point. So many people used to confuse gender studies and feminist studies, but it is, according to me, it is different thing. Gender is cultural, feminism is like something different. Okay, so I think its time is up. I want to finish that. I want to finish my program. What I have done in this session is I give a overall picture of the criticism from Plato to modern trend. And my request is you go and take the specific theory or specific aspect of criticism, study deeply. Then you find a textbook. Whenever you come across a textbook, when it affects you, you think about a theory. Okay. For example, some texts will affect you, and the thought of new historicism will be suitable for analyzing the text. For some people, the postmodernism aspects will be suitable for analyzing the text. For some people, it is different thing, feminism or gender studies. Okay, so instead of finding theory and go to the text, read the text and the theory will automatically come to you. That is my own experience in that, and you do that. I conclude my speech here. Thank you for this opportunity. I will say that I thank you for the English department who arranged this session for me. I hope I have done my duty. Of course, I am very fast. I am very precise. I was through my presentation, and I gathered many points. It will be throwing some lights into the fields of criticism like that. Okay, and thank you so much. Thank you, participants, for patiently listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your vast wealth of knowledge and expertise with us. In the midst of your presentation, there are so many people raising their hands and asking some questions in the comment box as well as in YouTube live streaming. Right now, we are moving on to the Q&A session, sir. Participants, if you have any queries, kindly post it in the comment box. Those who raise your hands, kindly unmute yourself and ask your questions. So there is one question in comment box. This question is from Sandil Kumar.
Yeah.
Why the novel Matters was written by D.H. Lawrence?
Now, why the novel matters? It was not by D.H. Lawrence. It is by Keats.
Keats.
Keats. Why the novel matters? Keats.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And another one question we received in YouTube live streaming. I'm reading it. While interpreting any literary text, this literary criticism directs me to in particular way. Why? He asked.
That is a way of analyzation. That is a way of when you read a text, if the text is written from the sociological point of view, immediately when you are reminded about a social issue, naturally the text brings you a sociological approach, how it affects you, how the reality has been imagined and written in the novel. That is one way of affecting the reader. One way of affecting the reader. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Another question, sir. So there are so many theories and critical analysis approaches are available. The thing is, how could we find this is the right interpretation of literary text?
There is no right interpretation of any text because your perspective is different by my perspective. Okay, that is fine. That is one important aspect. There is no final conclusion of the text. Okay, I study Macbeth from a tragedy point of view, but you study in a different point of view. Another person will study from Lady Macbeth's point of view. That Lady Macbeth is a masculine. So many things are more, so many points of view are there. So that is why we cannot say that this point of view is right. Okay, and anything, what is more important, how it is established, how the hypothesis has been brought into that study, how it is established, and finally how it is justified. That is very, very important.
Thank you, sir. Participants, if you have any queries, please post it in the comment box. Those who raised your hand, kindly unmute yourself and ask the question.
Excuse me, sir. I'm audible.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir. So it's my question is, this is Murugan from Chidambaram and PhD scholar.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about in the recent development theoretical framework, queer study and disability studies? Sir? Do you have any unique approach that to study?
Yeah, now that is square study is there. Okay, how the, for example, what is that? Um, the I have what people gay and studies, gay studies. Okay,
Lesbian study?
gay studies are becoming popular because same sex. I want to say that I'm
Homosexual.
no, no, no. Same sex studies, same sex life are going on there, and so many people are justifying that, there, and also the third gender, the transgender, okay, transgender studies also going there. This comes under queer studies. You see, transgender, transgender are very very popular. Trans studies are very very popular, and we have a strong myth that transgenders are a kind of divine person in our culture. Okay, but in reality, what you find, there is no toilet for the transgender. Where they go, okay, there is lot of difference between the reality and the thought. Okay, we in the thought we are appreciating the transgender, and in reality there is no recognition for them. And in order to fill the gap, they are studying, they are bringing the queer theory and analyzing that the plight of the third gender. And another one is, what is that, disabled studies. So disabled studies is a recent phenomenon. There are I happen to under one conference under the disabled studies and come to know many points that how the disabled people have the power to creation. If I want to tell you one thing, blind people, they are here. Their memory has a very good memory. You know that they can they can keep nearly 1,000 songs in their mind, which we are not able to do that. So when these things they are, when they find expressed in the textbook, that comes under disabled studies. Okay, how the disabled persons are writing that. And another trend also coming, that is terrorist studies. Okay, after twin tower demolition, you can find that terrorist studies, trauma studies are coming into focus. Okay, and people are choosing this, and they are of course rewarding for them. Thank you. I wish you good luck for the person. Whether what do you want? Do you want to do cure studies or disabled studies?
Sorry, sir. Actually, I done my thesis. I already submitted. Now I'm waiting for Viva.
Okay, what's the topic?
It's my topic is humanitarian basis. Actually, it's humanity in crisis. A study of select novels of Jonathan Franzen, American novelist. Sir.
Okay, 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 good. All the best.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable words.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome.
So thank you, sir. Right now we're moving on to the virtual photo session. All participants kindly turn on your cameras. Participants kindly turn on your cameras. Right now we have virtual photo session. This is for documentation purpose. After the vote of thanks, we will post the feedback link. People those who are watching in YouTube, please hold on. After the vote of thanks, we will post the feedback link. Participants, turn on your cameras. Thank you. Thank you all. I now invite Mr. Alam, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to stand before you today as we conclude this insightful online conference. On behalf of our institution, St. Joseph's College Arts and Science Kovur, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has made this event a success. First, I would like to thank God who made this FDP a successful one. Next, I would like to thank our founder, Reverend Father Dr. J. Arulraj, for extending his support to the FDP. Thank you, sir. I take immense pleasure in thanking our principal, Dr. R. Rubin. Your leadership has been instrumental in fostering an environment that encourages such meaningful events. Thank you, sir. A heartfelt thanks to our administrator, Reverend Sister Dr. M. Baby, for efficiently managing all the organizational aspects of this conference. Thank you, ma'am. A special thanks to our distinguished speakers. We had 5 resource persons giving their insights on the topic from theory to practice, contemporary trends in literary criticism. On day 1, we had Dr. Manir Uzman, Professor, Department of English, Jahangir Nagar University, Bangladesh. On day 2, we had Dr. Geetanjali Trivedi, Professor, Department of English, DAV PG College, Dehradun, Uttar Pradesh. On day 3, we had Dr. K. Rajaraman, Professor, Department of English, Annamalai University, Chidambaram. On day 4, we had Dr. A. Pilmko Das, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Aditya Institute of Management, Science and Research, Puducherry. On the last day, we had Dr. V. Ganeshan, Associate Professor, Department of English, A.M. Jain College, Chennai. We thank our resource persons. Your presentation and discussions have been incredibly enlightening and have provided us with valuable insights and perspectives. Your expertise and willingness to share your knowledge have truly enriched this conference. Thank you all. A sincere thanks to our head of department, Mrs. V. Ashwita, for your visionary leadership and unwavering support in organizing this conference. Your commitment to fostering learning and collaboration has been vital to its success. Thank you, ma'am. A heartfelt thanks to the main driving force behind this conference, Dr. S. Anand Raj. Your dedication, hard work, and meticulous planning have ensured the success of this event, and we are truly grateful for all that you have done. Thank you, sir. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the faculty members of the Department of English who played a significant role in the success of this conference. Your constant support, whether in planning, coordinating, or ensuring that every detail was taken care of, has been truly comfortable, commendable. Your willingness to go the extra mile, both in the preparation and execution phases, reflects your dedication not just to this event, but to the overall growth and enrichment of our institution. Without your invaluable contributions, this FDP would not have been the success that it is today. We deeply appreciate all your efforts. Thank you all. I would also like to express our gratitude to all the participants who joined us today. Your engagement and thoughtful questions have contributed significantly to the success of this event. Your presence and enthusiasm have been greatly appreciated. A big thanks to the technical team who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that everything ran smoothly. Your dedication and hard work have made this hybrid FDP possible. Finally, to everyone involved in making this event a reality, your support and contributions have been invaluable. We hope that the knowledge shared will inspire and empower you as we continue to navigate the challenges and opportunities in our respective fields. Thank you once again for being a part of this conference. We look forward to seeing you at all of future events. Thank you all.
Again, thank you all for all the academicians from various institutions. Have a blessed life. See you all again in another event, another FTP, another workshop. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.